What's your name?
Jamie.
What type of plants do you have?
Livingstone. The plant is the darker brown one in the middle right over there.
And do you have other plants in the show?
Yeah, 3 more.
Okay.
Snake plant.
All right.
Horthia. That we didn't do a common name for that one.
Okay. How long have you been doing cactuses?
Since I was 4 years old.
Okay. Where do you keep the plants?
Some of them on the windowsills, others on platforms, and sometimes on tables.
Definitely indoors.
Yeah, definitely.
How often do you water them?
I don't water them, Mom does.
So you got your pen back.
You'd have to ask Mom.
Thank you very much. Oh, you have one more, right?
It's that grizzly bear that was way over there.
Okay. And did you grow these from seeds?
I don't think I did. I don't think I did. I didn't grow this from seeds, that's for sure, right, Mom? And I didn't grow this from a seed, right?
Okay.
I grew this from a cutting.
Gotcha. That's what they're called.
Cutting is like a piece of a plant that you can root. That's exactly what this is that fell off. So it's become a cutting and we can root it.
Nice. What type of plant do we have here?
A grizzly bear, cactus.
Ooh. Are they prickly?
That's fine. You know, we've given away
Yes.
way more than
I can touch the spines, they just don't touch the point.
Oh, okay. Do you know why it's called a grizzly bear?
No.
It's big and hairy, huh?
Yeah. Like that old man, the cactus that's right next to us.
Okay. So does that one also stay indoors? As opposed to
It gets
outside?
it gets stuck outside occasionally, right, Mom? In the summer, it gets stuck outside. It's outside in the summer.
Anything else
Of
you
course,
want to
we
say?
don't take plants outside in the winter. It's too cold for them. They'll die. Except for some plants. Except for some succulents. That
What's the difference between a succulent and a cactus?
because cactuses usually have spikes.
So the ones to your immediate left are succulents?
These ones might
So what do you think?
Be-
The giveaway plans?
might actually be cactuses because look at these spines on the top.
Oh, okay. I was just looking over the whole leaf. Thank you very much, Jamie.
Jeff.
And where are we?
We are in the Norfolk Public Library.
And what's happening here this weekend?
Cactus and Succulent show for the education of the public about this broad range of plants considered succulents.
What's succulent mean?
It means thick, but generally implies some type of water storage ability or some type of ability to withstand a dry period. Usually that results in a thick body part. And a plant has several options: the leaf, the stem, the root. The flower is usually not involved.
And why is there a society in Massachusetts?
That's a good question.
Well, you know, we're not in
I-
Texas that's dry all the time.
Yeah, I know that in Southern California the society is very active and you can use them in landscaping. I'm not quite sure.
There's obviously an interest.
Oh.
How many are in the society? Approx.
It's 80 to 100, and I think once in a while it grows a little more than that. I think we average around 100 members. And the meetings, there's usually about 40 people there, once a month. And we're drawing from Massachusetts and a little bit from other states, such as New Hampshire and Vermont, and Connecticut. I don't know whether or not anyone comes in here from New York.
How long have you been working with these plants?
Wow.
Plant.
Oh, wow. I got my first cactus at the Higgins Armory Museum in Massachusetts. And I liked it was spiky. And at that time, I liked the mace and other medieval weapons. And I was 6th or 7th grade. And then I went to some church bazaars or fairs, and every once in a while I'd see some type of succulent or cactus, so I'd buy another one. And then I found a Boston Globe article in approximately the year 2000, about the CSSM, Cactus and Succulent Society of Massachusetts. So I started coming to meetings, and I've been adding to my collection since then. And I do have a plant from 16 years ago that a member gave me a little cutting of for free, because we were such nice people, and it was the size of my thumb. And now it would be, I don't know, it's in a 10-inch diameter pot, but it's really spilling out over the sides, and it's really tall and multi-branched.
What's the common thing that kills a cactus in Massachusetts that somebody takes care of?
Water. Definitely. Indoors and out. I do have some cacti that I've left outdoors for about 10 winters that are doing all right, but there are not very many species that can handle a wet spring.
Anything else you want to add?
It's an addictive hobby. It's a lot of fun. And I get a great deal of enjoyment out of admiring all the different shapes and sizes in my collection and having them get bigger and make flowers. And I don't know that everybody can understand that, but I love growing these things.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Francis Passavant. I'm a member of the Cactus and Succulent Society in Massachusetts, and I like to collect plants called Euphorbias. Euphorbias are a very ancient plant genus. They evolved about 200 million years ago, and there is a huge variety of them since they are spread out all over the world. I particularly like those from Africa and from Madagascar. This one, for example, it comes from Somalia. Of course, these days, not much plant collecting going on in Somalia because of all the fighting and war. But it's very interesting. It puts up a new section every year. About sometime like at the beginning, middle of August, I'll see a little green bud start on the top over there, and within a matter of 2 or 3 weeks, there'll be a new section. Over here, we have a plant called the heptagona, Euphorbia heptagona. That's a native of Africa. I kind of like it because of the branching, and it stays nice and green, and it's got interesting colored spikes on it, or thorns. Unlike cactus, cactus thorns are actually leaves. In the case of euphorbias, they're not. They're more like evolved from branches. Another African euphorbia is this one called line spore. Comes from the southern end of Africa. Very interesting looking plant and quite attractive. Over here we have a plant from Madagascar. And I love this plant because in winter when it loses its leaves, you have this elegant shape of the trunk and branches. And then when the spring comes or the rainy season comes, the leaves come out and then eventually flowers. And you can see, even though it is late in the year, there still are a couple of flowers there. Another plant from Madagascar, which is very interesting. Plants from Madagascar, well, animals from Madagascar for that matter of fact, are all very interesting to collectors and to people who are interested in these things, because Madagascar separated from Africa, or what is now Africa, some 50, 60 million years ago, and the plants and animals have evolved separately and distinctly from the ones everywhere else in the world. So you can see this plant, nice shape, and it's got these green leaves, and below it are some very nasty spikes. One thing about euphorbias I'd like to caution you about is that the sap is toxic, and variable from slightly toxic to extremely toxic. And since there are over 2,000 species of euphorbias, it's difficult to remember what the specific toxicity of each one is. So be careful. If you ever get any of the sap of euphorbia on your hands, wash your hands immediately and get that off of you. Another interesting euphorbia is this one's called Franco, Euphorbia francoese. You can see here in the green the flowers. So it's still flowering even though we're in the middle of September. All the leaves are green right now, and that's unusual because usually you have a mixture of colors on the leaves of this plant. Sometimes there'll be red leaves, brown leaves, and green leaves all at the same time on the same plant. This too is a plant that is native to Madagascar. This plant is called Clandestino, Euphorbia clandestina. And there's nothing particular about the clandestine world about this plant. It's been called the clandestina, or the clandestine plant, because it tends to grow hidden in bushes. And it grows hidden in bushes because when it gets a little bit taller than this, it starts flopping over, so it uses other bushes as support. And over here we have another euphorbia which has very little chlorophyll in it. You'll notice some similarities with cacti in between, for example, this plant or the line spore that I showed you over here. There are similarities with cacti. In general, What happens is that when plants or animals are faced with similar problems, they tend to come to similar solutions. And the solution these came up with for the highly dry climate in which they live is to get rid of the leaves and to move all the chlorophyll into the body of the plant. So you'll notice that the line spore, Euphorbia, and the Heptagona, for example, and the Balii over here, none of them have leaves. They have moved the chlorophyll into the body of the plant. Why don't they want the leaves? Because the plants that live in extreme arid environments will lose a lot of water through the leaves. And so therefore they got rid of the leaves and moved the chlorophyll into the body of the plant. So I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words about euphorbias, and I thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Event. I brought some Haworthias to show some people, and I also brought one Aloe. And I've been a member of the Cactus and Succulent Society for about 10 or so years, and I've learned in that time what grows well in we live in a small cape, so we don't have a lot of sun, but some of these plants that I grow do well on windows and with not quite so much light, and so it's been a lot of fun to see the different forms that many of them grow in and come in, as a matter of fact. For example, this one is a Haworthia mirabilis beekmani, and I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. But I love this one because of the big leaves that grow over the edge of the pot. And this one I love because the just tiny little plants, and what's going to happen over time is it's going to spread out wider and wider, but it's also going to mound up higher. So those are two of my smaller ones, and even smaller yet is this Haworthia parksiana, which is a tiny little puppy, and it's a very slow growing one, so that's very good for that size pot. It's probably been in the pot for maybe 3 years now, so it's perfect for a windowsill. This is a marvelous plant. This is Haworthia retusa. That lives on our porch in the wintertime, so it doesn't get much sun, but it does get down to maybe, the low 50s, maybe high 40s when it's really cold. I only water it a few times during the year. It needs so little care and always looks good, so it's one of my favorites. This one's a little bit different. This is an aloe, and its name is Aloe Twilight Zone, And I love it for the purple and the white coloring on it. It reminds me of looking up at the stars at night. So it's one of my favorite. And that one has been outside all summer long on the south side of our house, which gets very, very, very hot. And so if the aloes, or this particular aloe, doesn't like a lot of water, so that's a perfect place for it. It's been a very dry summer, and the plant has been growing really well. So these are the plants. I forgot one little guy, and I'll bring him over here. Oh, can't reach him. Well, maybe I can. Okay, so I'll hold him. All right, and this is Euphorbia Emilii variety multifolia. And I like him because he looks kind of like maybe a hedgehog or something along those lines. So as you can see, they're all different shapes and forms, and that's what makes them so much fun to grow and so interesting. You would think with the name Euphorbia that, okay, they all look the same, but they don't. They're all different, and that's what makes it fun. So, thank you.